So this is the daily chart for SUI, and we have a 3-wave move up here. So it's clear, the market has failed to form a 5-wave move up. Now, of course, this might turn into some kind of a diagonal pattern to the upside. I don't know. For now, I think it makes sense as a bullish count to consider the blue scenario. So we have 3 waves up. It's not 5, which makes this whole thing very, very questionable. We have 3 waves up and also 3 waves down. This could be an A, B, C structure. Clearly less bullish than we would need it as an impulse, yeah. And clearly it invalidated the bullish setup I was tracking. Now, the advantage of Elliott wave is that it gives us clear invalidation points, which were triggered a while ago. What we didn't get was this triangle. Triangle's also speculative usually, but yeah, it didn't show strength where it needed to maintain a bullish potential. That's a shame because this move up was a fairly clear 5-wave move up, right? And also this was a nice upside impulse. This was also nice and impulsive. So we had some impulsive movements to the upside, but also SUI couldn't escape the vortex. And that's one of the things that I've always mentioned. Once Bitcoin forms a substantial top, the altcoins will be dragged with it regardless of where they are in their individual wave counts and structures. So does it mean we're now in a bear market? Well, honestly, I think it's just what do you see as a bear market? Let's be honest. This chart has been in a correction for basically a year, nearly a year. That's bear market. Let's be honest. People don't see it that way for some reason, but it actually, I mean, in January 25, I mean, it's nearly January again, right? Okay, it's November, but then December, and then we're already there, and that's a year, guys. That's historically how altcoin corrections have played out, for a year of a correction, like Bitcoin as well, bear market. It's actually crazy. So we have an A wave down, we had a B wave up, and this feels like a C wave down at the moment. And the target area is 69 cents to 141. And I mean, we talk about, what is it, 60, 70% decline from the high? Yeah, this is bear market. Yeah, I mean, I know it doesn't feel like that. It's a very strange cycle, but actually, you could see it that way. Now, from a bullish point of view, it would need to hold support ideally in this blue zone. The next larger cluster of support is around 141 to 69 cents. And if it doesn't find support there at some point, it might morph into the white count, which would take us eventually long term to all-time lows. But I'm going to watch for a reaction in that region, a 5-wave move up. I think we could still get another 4-5 pattern to the downside. I think that is very, very important to understand, that we might see still an extension of that C wave, because I have A, I've got B, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's important to understand what the resistance area is for the 4th wave bounce. We can put that onto the chart as well. This is just simply standard resistance. We take the length of the 3rd wave, and that gives us at least a standard resistance zone. It's like 223 to 246. Now, we can also talk a little bit about there's a question I received earlier today on Discord about this, so that might help. So let me just find that. So the question was about this bounce in a B wave. So that's also then educational. The question was here for a B wave, yeah. And the question was, I know that was from our Discord. I know you count that as an ABC, and your B wave topped out. A B wave has to be 3 waves, was the comment. And the C wave reaches the 100% target. Why does your C wave just slightly higher than your previous wave? And I guess the question is about the micro patterns. And yeah, I mean, it's what it is. I mean, you need to understand that tracking this, right? So ideally, the pattern would look like this: A, B, C. And the question was, why is that B wave? Yeah, it's an ABC structure, but why is that C wave so short? So I can tell you, I don't know why. It's just because the downside pressure started to kick in. Obviously, in an ideal world, this would have been a wave 1 and a wave 2 and a wave 1 and a wave 2, and it failed, and it failed. So it was bearish. Difficult to see at the time because these were true 5-wave movements to the upside. Yeah, which makes up an ABC. But normally, when we want to recognize an ABC structure clearly, the C wave has the same length as the A wave. So it would take the length of the A, and then the 100% extension is an ideal target. So ideally, it would have moved to 574. This would have been an ideal C wave. Now, it couldn't, for whatever reason. But this is not a must. This is a guideline. And honestly, most C waves get there. There are additional targets for C waves I don't often talk about because it is extremely rare that a C wave only reaches the 61.8 extension, but it is possible. And this is also in Elliott wave guidelines. If you read the book Elliott wave principle, a first ideal target, the 61.8 extension isn't respected often enough for me to focus on it too much, but sometimes, markets are probabilistic. That's what it is. So that covers that question. The other question was about the structure here of the correction. Could it be a very complex WXYXZ structure? I can answer that very easily. The way this was presented to me on Discord is this. It wasn't very clear, I think. Maybe like this. I don't know. I think the C wave count to the downside works quite well. Okay. I'm sure you can. This is a correction, probably, right? It's not really impulsive down in all patterns. So there will be more than just one way to count this correction. It's not so much about finding the perfect wave count. It's about identifying a wave count that can give you support resistance levels. Especially in a correction, there's typically more than one wave count. So yeah, you can always try to force a very complex corrective pattern in here. But then you would have to call this wave W. Then you would have to call this probably the X wave, and then here the Y, and then the Y itself is kind of a WXYXZ, super complex. Yeah, I don't see that. Because if you have an ABC, in a C wave, we have to have 5 waves, right? So it has to be a 5-wave move, not a WXYXZ. That's not technically what is a 5-wave move, right? I hope that answers that question as well. And hopefully that gives you a good idea of what's going on with SUI at the moment. So that means short-term pressure is still downward, guys. The resistance is clearly defined. And I would not expect a reversal attempt until we reach $1.41.